Welcome to the Big Four Accounting Firms podcast, brought to you by big4accountingfirms.com and the Big Four Accounting Firms YouTube channel. Before we get started, just wanted to remind everybody to support us if you have a chance or if you can. Even $1 helps, and we have a link in the description to a website called Buy Me a Coffee. It's just a way to donate to us and support us. Again, any amount is helpful so that we can keep putting out content. And there's also other ways for you to support us in the show notes to this podcast or on YouTube in the description. In today's podcast, we're going to be discussing financial results again. And this is because E&Y also released their financial results in Australia. And they released the financial results in early August, similar to KPMG. Now, E&Y in Australia announced revenues of $2.13 billion. And they claim that this is growth of 12.7% over the prior year. And this compares to $1.887 billion in revenue in the prior year from their results that they released last year. And E&Y CEO for the Oceania territory had the following to say: "Our firm's resilience during fiscal year 20 is the result of a combination of factors that have been integral to our strategy for some time and have stood us in good stead during these difficult times. These include our incredibly strong assurance business, strong and trusted relationships with our clients, our investment in broadening the capability of our consulting businesses, and our investment in technology across our entire business, all enabled by the expertise, effort, and flexibility of our people." I mean, that statement doesn't really provide any insight into this. You could slap that statement onto any fiscal year for any Big Four accounting firm. But I'll be discussing that later on. So E&Y contends that their technology approach has allowed them to deploy their 8,300 people effectively during the pandemic. So it looks here like E&Y is not going to talk about layoffs or the COVID-19 impact on their business. As you remember, KPMG did. They talked about cost-cutting measures. And they talked about how they laid people off. I don't believe E&Y laid people off in Australia. If they did, let me know, but I don't think they did. I think what they did is they stopped hiring people. They don't provide as much transparency into that as KPMG, as you'll see from the rest of this release. What they did talk about is their growth. And they talked about this when they talked about acquisitions. They said that they made 3 acquisitions during the year. The first was Aileron, and Aileron bolstered the firm's technology capabilities. And it appears that they were a cybersecurity firm. They also acquired a company called Cadence Economics, and they acquired them to enhance their economics advisory business. And this might be to asset managers, but it could be for just writing research reports, etc. And the last company they bought was Port Jackson Partners, and this helped them to build their strategy business. KPMG also mentioned how important their strategy business was in their 2020 financial report. So this is something to just think about if you're going to work in Australia. E&Y also attributes some good growth in the current year to prior year acquisitions of Carrikins and Adelphi Digital and Plot. Adelphi Digital and Plot is a technology business, while Carrikins is a social impact business. And E&Y also attributes much of their growth to the financial services business, which grew 20% in the current year. And that's pretty significant growth there. And the financial services businesses helped clients with complex transactions, actuarial work, and financial crime, cyber, and assurance work. E&Y said that the insurance division grew by 10%, and some of that growth can be attributed to being appointed auditors of BHP and Origin Energy. The tax line of services grew by 8%. Strategy and transactions grew by 6%. And E&Y claims that they were the number 1 M&A advising accountant in Australia for this time period. So if you're thinking about going into M&A and accounting, then E&Y in Australia appears to be the way to go if you're going to work in Australia. Similar to KPMG, E&Y also mentioned the volunteer work that they did during the year. They said that they contributed 46,000 hours of volunteer time and pro bono work. And this is 2,000 hours more than KPMG's 44,000 hours. So that's just something to keep in mind. And E&Y CEO for Oceania also had the following to say about the future. "I'm very proud of the firm's fiscal year 2020, the result of an amazing contribution by all our people in challenging and testing times. We are not out of the woods from either a health or economic perspective. The prolonged economic uncertainty we are facing means we will continue to require an agile strategy, mindset, and culture to navigate fiscal year 2021 and beyond. Our plan will not change, focusing on saving lives, saving jobs, and managing our business for the long term. While we must be appropriately cautious about the immediate future, we are still on the lookout for opportunities, whether they be acquisitions or people that will add value to our business, particularly in the technology, strategy, law, digital, and climate sustainability services. This will further strengthen our ability to advise our clients across the increasingly broad spectrum of their needs and provide our people with unparalleled career development opportunities. Our clients, large and small, across all sectors are continuing to face into tough challenges as they also manage their businesses, not only in the now, but also in the next and beyond. It is our ambition to deliver long-term value to our clients, people, and society. To summarize all of this, E&Y did a great job in Australia. They had 13% growth compared to KPMG's 7%. And their growth actually makes sense based on the numbers they provided because they talked about financial services being a big contribution to that. Also some acquisitions where KPMG's, you couldn't really add up how they got to 7% growth. Australia is actually having some pretty good growth all the way around. We'll see if that continues though. And we'll see how this growth in Australia, if it's consistent all the way around across the world for the big four accounting firms. Another thing of note here is that E&Y has 8,300 people in Australia, while KPMG has 6,700. KPMG is making pretty good revenue with far less people. And this is a pretty common theme for E&Y. This is kind of what they're known for. And this shows that they have some of the lowest rates in the big four because they have more people. They're making more revenue, but barely more revenue with significantly more people. Keep that in mind if you choose to work for E&Y. You're probably going to have to work more hours and you're going to be getting less revenue for the work you do. Another thing you can learn from all this is you can use the statements by the Australia CEO to understand what is important to E&Y. And you can also use his statements to learn how to speak like a Big Four accountant because he's using certain terms in there that all Big Four partners use. But he also provided insight into what's important to their business in the future. He said, they add value to our business, particularly in technology, strategy, law, digital, and climate and sustainability services. So if you're going to major in accounting or you haven't selected a major yet, you need to get some hours and credits in those areas. Now, strategy probably means mergers and acquisitions, but you need to focus in these areas. You need to focus less on getting really good at auditing and getting really good at tax. You should get good at those if you're going to work in those areas, but you also need to get really good at technology and M&A and other digital initiatives and these climate and sustainability initiatives. He's telling you what the firm is focusing on. So you need to pay attention to that and focus on those areas. Don't focus on old school, the way the Big Four accounting firms used to be. Focus on the future and focus on what they're telling you in these statements. So that's the update for today. Make sure to subscribe to this podcast to get future updates. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and support us through the Buy Me a Coffee link that's in the description to this podcast and YouTube video. And if you can't support us financially in that link, then support us on our YouTube channel by liking this video, by subscribing, or commenting on the video. Thanks for listening.